Steph, now we know it's Boston. So can you give us some high-line ideas of what you think of the team and how they match up with the Warriors?
Yeah, obviously a great team. They're in the finals, and they've had a group together, gone through a lot in the last 4 or 5 years, had some success early, had to figure out how to sustain it, and now they're here on this stage. So it's gonna be an amazing test. You got some guys playing at a really high level, very well-rounded team. They got size. They've been battle tested this playoff series or playoff run. So, we like the matchup in terms of just confidence coming in, knowing that we can win. But there's obvious respect in terms of what they present as a team. Tatum and Brown as the heads of the snake. Marcus Smart does what he does. And you got some vets, obviously Al Horford, who has been in the league a long time, and in his first finals appearance. So I'm sure they're motivated just like we are, and excited to get things going.
Steph. You guys got off to a red hot start first couple of months, then hit some bumps January, February, and into March. Did you always believe that even through those bumps, you'd be able to, did you still visualize getting to this point?
1,000%. But this season is such a marathon, and we do our best to try to give more colorful sound bites throughout the year on what that process looks like. But at the end of the day, you can't rush it, you can't fast forward, and just definitely was the vision. I think some of those speed bumps kind of made us appreciate the difference in this team in terms of, I call it, I guess, the versatility. We had a lot of different guys play a lot of different roles, and we just wanted to get to the playoffs in one piece as much as possible and give ourselves the best chance. And somehow we obviously made it through this run with some injuries, but for the most part, the vision of getting here never faded ever.
Were you looking at that time though? I mean, Clay comes, Draymond goes out, Draymond comes back, you go out. Did you look at that and think, okay, you know what, we just need to get together? Or did you always feel that once we got together, it would kind of come together?
Well, me, Draymond, Clay, Loon, Andre, even, like, there's always a confidence that if we're all out on the floor, good things will happen. We know each other so well, so we didn't really need reps, but the entire what's the rotation going to look like? That was always the question. Once you got to the playoffs, because you had a lot of different options, a lot of different ways to go, and the blessing and the curse of having that for Coach Kerr to try to figure that out on the fly. So for us, the core guys that have been around, been through this, there was always confidence in what we can do on the floor. And then each series, these last, 4 or 5 weeks have shown a little bit different opportunity for different guys to step up. And it's been awesome to see.
Steph, you touched on this a little bit the other night, but can you talk a little bit about how different this journey is? When you first went, I've seen some pictures. You looked like such babies in 2015, and you had a little kid. Now you have bigger kids. You have 3 of them. Can you just talk about the perspective of being kind of a grown-up and going through this, and how different it is from what it was 8 years ago?
Life's different. It's different balances that you try to master on and off the court. I don't know. I think it's probably more just an appreciation, a different level of appreciation of what it takes to get to the stage than it did the first time, because you really have no idea until you do it. And kind of Maya's question, there's just more of a pressure and a weight and an expectation that you carry all year, knowing what it takes to try to get here and what you have to do, the sacrifice it takes to even give yourself a chance over the last 9 months. Plus, you can even think to last year and how we finished last season. So, there's a balancing act of just all of that. I think I'm much more aware and observant and just kind of calm in terms of my emotions going into the finals, which feels good, but still get anxious and nervous like everybody else in terms of when the game starts, like, because I want it so bad, and that's remained the same. So just enjoying the blessing of being here because you know what it takes.
Steph, talk about guarding Tatum, the challenge that comes with that.
I mean, he's a dynamic scorer. I think he's taking another step in terms of being able to read how certain defenses are going at him, and he's had some big, kind of clutch moments, some big games that he needed to step up, and he has. So he's a problem. Jaylen Brown obviously has shown his scoring ability, and he can take over and dominate a game, start to finish. So, you got to just try to continue to make it tough on him. We've had some good challenges these first 3 rounds with some dynamic scores. But they're different. They're different beasts, with how they get it done. So all 5 guys got to be ready.
Steph, Andrew Wiggins has continued to elevate his game throughout the playoffs and just really, he's accepted a different role here with the Warriors. What's it like to just see him have the success that he's had throughout this postseason?
I mean, we said it's exactly what we expected that he would be able to do. I don't know how he's explained the journey, but it's just awesome to watch him understand what it impacts winning, what he needs to do in terms of impacting the game on both ends of the floor. And from the time the trade happened to now, this was the vision of him, playing a very, very important role in this team and having an opportunity to do it on the brightest under the brightest lights and biggest stages, like a playoff run like we've had now in the finals. So excited to see that continue.
When you came into the league, Boston had, KG and Ray Allen and young Tony Allen. It feels like since then they've always been really tough defensively. When you see the Celtics, when you play against them, what does that mean for you and just the years of the guys they've had and guarding you? When you think of the Celtics, what comes to mind?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough-nosed organization that's got a lot of history, and a certain way of doing things that they've carried throughout the years. And it's usually big bodies, pretty physical brand of basketball that, we're no stranger to. So we'll be ready for that. But there's always been, battles. I know somebody was talking about their record against us in Coach Kerr era or something like that. They've had some success, but it's totally different when you get into I'm excited about a playoff series where there's in-game and in-series adjustments happen. And, even being in Boston in that arena with that, very unique atmosphere. So it should be fun. And they're a historic, franchise that you look up in the rafters and you see all the names that have, donned that jersey. For them to be back in the finals, I'm sure it's special in that city.
Steph over here. What have your conversations been like with Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins, some of the younger players who haven't been on this stage before? Just what has your advice been to them over the last few days about kind of what to expect and how you prepare for this?
I mean, the biggest thing is the chaos around and in between games. Practice schedules are different. There's a lot more attention, obviously. You have to kind of you gotta adapt to the different flow of the day as you get ready for games, stuff like that. But my advice was at the end of the day, once the ball drops, you might have a little nerves those first 6 minutes, first quarter, but you settle in pretty quick, and then it's just basketball. But just basketball, obviously, meaning we know what to do. You know how to play. You don't have to do anything different than you've been doing. But it's also the importance of every possession, fighting through fatigue, fighting through the nerves, the adrenaline, fighting through some failures if you have some, because every, body's going to be important. And just to stay ready, too, because the way playoffs go, the way playoff series go, and especially the way that we play, things can change really quickly in terms of who's, in the rotation, who's getting minutes and who's getting an opportunity. So we're going to need everybody to get 4 more wins.
Steph, how would you describe Andre as a coach? Jordan Cavan said that he's pretty blunt and meticulous, but they also said that he's someone that you and Clay and Draymond come to and trust.
Yeah. I mean, I would use all those words for sure. A decent sense of humor about it too, but he'll call you out and keep you accountable to what good basketball is and what a good approach is. I don't think anything he says is off base in terms of, what he's asking guys to do and what he's pointing out. And he's very consistent too. That's the thing with his demeanor and his approach. So you respect everything about, him in whatever role, whatever hat he's wearing.
Steph, how would you describe over here the culture of this team under Steve Kerr, and how did that help get you guys through 2 years ago? I mean, when a team goes 15-15, has the worst record in the league, a lot of times that can, tear people apart or tear a team apart. And obviously you had some injuries, but how did what you had built before that help get you guys to the other side?
I mean, from my vantage point, I don't know how much it helped that year because, like you said, it was the injuries and all that. We were all over the place, and we just wanted to get healthy and whole and see what we had. So last year was more, I think, the barometer of our culture and our way of doing things that got us through the beginning of that season where we, had a lot of young guys playing, still dealt with a couple of injuries. We had some new guys in the rotation that were trying to figure out how we played and all that. But I think we slowly got a little bit better, and then we finished 15-5 in the last 20 games and gave ourselves a chance to sneak into a playoff spot. And you could see that fire and that competitive level come back, and that carried over into this year. And that helped us have that belief and that vision that we could be back here on the stage. I don't think any of us thought we were winning a championship last year, but every game mattered down the stretch because we wanted to reassert ourselves as a very dominant, capable championship type team. And we finished the season, beat some really good teams and got that confidence back. And then that carried over again to the, through the summer and everything that we said and talked about and how we prepared for this season. Now we're here. So that was looking back, a very rewarding experience, even though it was difficult at times.
Steph, how important or how real is the concept of a young player paying their dues in this league? And kind of thinking about back to your younger days in the league, what kind of experiences and what did you learn from playing with a guy like Monte Ellis?
Everybody's journey is different. Whether you're learning by playing on a bad team and just going out there and just really focusing on yourself, whether you're learning in a situation like here where you might be in the G League a little bit, you might be starting, you might be coming off the bench, you might be doing whatever. There's something to learn through all those different experiences, but everybody's journey is different. So the ones that stick and the ones that make it are the ones that learn the lessons, no matter how they come. And they're always ready for their opportunity and ready for when the number's called. Yeah, that's I guess just the way it goes. It's not real black and white on that respect. And like with Monte, I just learned how talented this league is in terms of a guy who's was the most improved at one point, was part of a amazing playoff team, an amazing time as a Warrior, but really wasn't recognized on the national level as much. But I got to see him every day, and like, this dude's unbelievable. So you realize how hard it is to get to that level. So that was the lesson that I learned from that.
All right, 2 more for Connor and Kara, then we go to Zoom, then Wiggs is ready to come in.
Stephen, Steve basically said that Draymond is or that Marcus Smart is like Draymond, only a guard. Do you see similarities between those two just in terms of their anticipation and how they play?
Yeah, I think there was a time where the line with Draymond was he'll affect the game and you won't see it in the stat sheet. He's always just in the right place at the right time, making winning plays. Marcus has obviously demonstrated that knack for the ball. The unheralded hustle plays and all that type of stuff that he finds his way, to making a lot of the time. And he takes pride in what he can do on that end of the floor, just like Draymond does. So they're obviously different in skill sets in a certain sense, but the approach and the attitude and the ruthlessness of their effort every night is very, very similar.
I just wanted to follow up on Ann's questions, comparing your first finals run to this finals run, because preparing for this kind of intensity with a 34-year-old body is different than a 27-year-old body. It's a season-long view for you. In your old age wisdom, what have you discovered about your body, your sleep, what it means for your family, what this kind of spotlight is, everything surrounding the finals?
It's a great question because it's I was joking to somebody the other day. Like, I don't feel like I've done anything like outside of just come to practice, get my rehab recovery in, go home, hang out with my kids, maybe get some sunlight and see the green grass and see a white ball fly every once in a while. But other than that, it's pretty monotonous and routine. There's a lot of sacrifice that comes with making sure you're physically and mentally ready for the grind. And I think it's that sacrifice pays off because obviously if your family understands and they do. My experience, they've done an amazing job of giving me the space to make sure that I'm prioritizing what I need to prioritize to be ready to play. And that this is a very stressful, strenuous time of the year. But it is rewarding knowing that they get to experience it with me. And even my kids being a little older, they're asking a lot more questions about stuff that's going on. So that makes it fun too. Before they were just coming to the game and interrupting all y'all's questions on the podium. So it's a little different time now.
All right, one on Zoom. Rob Mahoney, go ahead. Rob? Rob, are you there? Rob? He's not on mute for us. He's Rob, you there?
Yeah. Hey, Steph, can you hear me?
Barely hear you. Can you speak up?
Yeah. Hey, am I coming through?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead real quick.
Yeah. Hey, Steph, kind of a bigger picture question for you. But when was it in your basketball career, would you say, that you really learned how to play off the ball and offense to kind of cut and move the way that you do?
At Davidson, my freshman, sophomore year, high school as a point guard, pass first type point guard. I knew I could shoot, but they always told me I needed to shoot more. I didn't really learn that lesson quick enough. Freshman, sophomore year at Davidson was me playing off the ball with my point guard, Jason Richards, who was the guy that was like leading the country in assists at the time. So I just got to work off of him and work on all the skill sets in terms of moving out the basketball and being efficient with that. And then combining both as I got a little closer to coming in, into the draft. So it worked out that I was able to try to master both as much as possible and really rely on that as a kind of a superpower on, at this stage.
Yeah. What is rewarding for you about that part of your game, about playing that way?
I mean, it just opens up the playbook a little bit more and opens up versatility of who you get to play with on the court. If there's other playmakers, I don't have to just dominate the ball every possession to get us going. So the gravity and all that stuff that people talk about and that impacts games is fun. You got to be in a level of, conditioning that you can sustain that. And I do pride myself on that, but it makes the game a little bit easier because you can switch things up a little bit and keep the defense on their toes as much as possible.
Great. Thank you. We'll have Wiggs in